Imagine the greatest military alliance in human history. Not one empire, not one king, but every legendary army of the ancient world, standing together. Roman legionaries tighten their shields. The Macedonian Phalanx lowers thousands of 20-foot spears. Persian Immortals wait silently, behind polished bronze shields. Veteran cavalrymen grip their reins, ready to charge. Hundreds of siege engines stand prepared. Nearly 100,000 soldiers cover the horizon. For thousands of years, armies like these shaped civilization. They built empires, destroyed kingdoms, changed the course of history. If they fought together, no ancient civilization could ever hope to stop them. But today, they are not facing another ancient civilization. Today, they are about to meet the 21st century. Before we begin, we need to establish one important rule. This isn't science fiction. There are no superheroes, no futuristic technology beyond what already exists today. No nuclear weapons, no chemical weapons, no biological weapons. Only conventional military equipment, currently available to the United States Army. The battlefield is an open plain, nearly 20 miles across. No cities, no mountains, no fortifications, no civilians. Only two armies. Both know an enemy exists. Neither knows exactly what they're about to face. Victory comes when one side can no longer continue fighting. Now, let's look at the ancient army, because at first glance, it appears almost unstoppable. At the center stand 25,000 Roman legionaries. For centuries, Rome dominated much of the known world through discipline, engineering, and relentless training. Every soldier knows exactly where to stand. Every movement has been practiced thousands of times. Unlike many ancient armies, these men don't panic easily. They adapt, they reorganize, they keep advancing. Beside them stands another legendary force, the Macedonian Phalanx. Developed under Philip II and perfected by Alexander the Great, these soldiers carry enormous sarissas, spears so long they create an almost impenetrable wall of steel. Against another ancient army, charging a phalanx is almost suicide. Behind them wait the Persian Immortals, 10,000 elite warriors whose numbers never seem to decrease. Whenever one soldier falls, another immediately takes his place. Their discipline earned them one of the most feared names in military history. On both wings gather thousands of elite cavalry, Numidian horsemen, companion cavalry, veterans inspired by Hannibal's campaigns. For centuries, cavalry decided battles. A successful charge could shatter entire armies within minutes. Further behind, English longbowmen prepare their arrows. Chinese crossbowmen check their weapons. Slingers from the Mediterranean collect smooth stones polished for maximum speed. Catapults and ballistae wait for the order to fire. Every weapon, every formation, every military innovation the ancient world ever created has been brought together for one impossible battle. If history had stopped here, this army might have been unstoppable. But history never stopped. While ancient civilizations perfected bronze, iron, steel, and discipline, humanity continued evolving. Slowly at first, then unbelievably fast. Across the battlefield, the United States Army quietly prepares. At first, the ancient commanders are confused. There are no massive formations, no colorful banners, no royal standards, no elephants, no siege towers, no thousands of cavalry stretching across the horizon. Instead, only scattered groups of soldiers wearing identical camouflage uniforms. From a distance, it almost looks disappointing. Some Roman officers may even smile. Surely, this tiny force cannot seriously challenge 100,000 of history's greatest warriors. After all, the Romans alone have defeated larger armies before. Alexander conquered an empire with fewer men. Hannibal destroyed Roman legions despite overwhelming odds. Numbers, discipline, experience, these have always decided wars, or at least, they used to. What none of the ancient commanders realize is that they have already lost the most important battle, the battle for information. High above them, small drones silently circle through the sky, almost invisible, almost silent. Every movement of the ancient armies being recorded, every formation identified, every commander located. Within seconds, American headquarters receives a complete picture of the battlefield. No messenger rides across the plain. No signal fires burn. No trumpets announce new orders. Information travels instantly. And for the first time in human history, the side with fewer soldiers knows more than the side with the larger army. The Romans don't know they're being watched. The Persians don't know they've already been mapped. The cavalry has no idea its position is being tracked in real time. To the ancient soldiers, the battle hasn't started yet. To the United States Army, it began several minutes ago, and the first shots haven't even been fired.
For the ancient commanders, everything is going according to plan. The Roman legions continue their steady advance. The Macedonian Phalanx moves as one enormous wall of steel. Cavalry rides along both flanks, searching for the perfect moment to charge. The distance between the two armies slowly closes. Still, the enemy does nothing. No arrows, no cavalry charge, no drums, no battle cries, only silence. To the ancient generals, it makes no sense. Why isn't the enemy moving? Have they lost their nerve? Are they waiting to surrender? No commander in history had ever faced an army that refused to meet them head-on. But the American soldiers aren't waiting. They're calculating. Every Roman formation, every cavalry unit, every commander's position has already been identified. Coordinates are transmitted instantly. Within seconds, artillery crews receive their targets. No messenger, no delay, no confusion, just numbers. Appearing on a screen, miles behind the front line, American artillery crews complete their final preparations. The order arrives. Fire. At first, nothing changes. The ancient soldiers continue marching. Then, a strange sound fills the air, a sharp whistle, growing louder every second. Thousands of Roman soldiers instinctively look upward. None of them understands what they're hearing. No ancient weapon had ever made a sound like this. For a brief moment, the entire battlefield seems to freeze. Then, the first shell strikes. The explosion is unlike anything the ancient world has ever witnessed. A wall of earth erupts into the sky. Armor, shields, weapons, human bodies. Everything is thrown into the air at once. Dozens of soldiers disappear instantly. Those standing nearby are knocked to the ground without ever seeing their attacker. The Roman formations stop. Confusion spreads through the ranks. Another whistle, another explosion, then another. Within seconds, the peaceful battlefield transforms into chaos. The Macedonian Phalanx, designed to resist arrows and cavalry, has no answer to explosions falling from the sky. Their legendary wall of spears means nothing. The Persian Immortals attempt to regroup. Officers shout orders, trumpets sound, messengers race across the battlefield, but information moves only as fast as a horse can run. The Americans have already fired another barrage. Entire sections of the battlefield disappear beneath smoke and flying debris. The soldiers still cannot see their enemy. Some believe the gods themselves are attacking. Others think the earth has opened beneath their feet. For the first time in centuries, the greatest army ever assembled begins to lose something far more valuable than soldiers: confidence. Because how do you fight an enemy you cannot even see? Smoke covers almost the entire battlefield. The thunder of explosions slowly begins to fade. For a brief moment, the firing stops. Silence returns. Across the ancient lines, thousands of surviving soldiers struggle to understand what has just happened. Some are wounded, some are searching for missing comrades. Others simply stand frozen, staring at the massive craters that did not exist only moments before. Yet despite the devastation, the army is still alive. Nearly 100,000 warriors did not disappear in a single barrage. The Roman commanders react first. Centurions begin shouting orders. Broken formations slowly reform. Legionaries lock their shields once again. Years of discipline begin to overcome panic. Nearby, the Macedonian officers force their phalanxes back into position. The endless wall of sarissas rises once more. The Persian Immortals regroup with remarkable speed. The cavalry circles farther around both flanks, searching for another way to reach the enemy. To a modern observer, it is impressive. Most armies throughout history would have completely collapsed after witnessing explosions of this magnitude. But these soldiers are different. They have spent their entire lives preparing for chaos. They have survived sieges, ambushes, massacres, and impossible battles. Their commanders understand one simple truth: standing still means death. Closing the distance is their only chance. The order is given: advance. Thousands of soldiers begin marching once again, slowly at first, then faster. The Roman legionaries maintain their disciplined formations. The Macedonian Phalanx continues pushing forward. The cavalry increases its pace. From a distance, it almost appears as though nothing can stop such overwhelming numbers. Inside the American command post, no one panics. Every movement has already been anticipated. The drone operators immediately notice the renewed advance. Fresh coordinates appear across every battlefield display. The commanders exchange only a few words. Continue. No speeches. No dramatic orders. Just one command. Continue. Moments later, another wave of artillery begins. This time, the shells do not target the center of the army. Instead, they strike the advancing flanks. The cavalry, horse after horse, crashes to the ground. Riders are thrown through the air before they ever see their enemy. The carefully planned flanking attack disappears within seconds. The Romans keep moving. Again. The artillery shifts. Now it targets the front ranks. Entire shield formations vanish beneath explosions. The legionaries instinctively close the gaps, exactly as they had been trained to do. But every time the line reforms, another shell lands, another gap opens, another explosion tears through the formation. The battlefield itself has become the enemy. There are no walls to climb, no soldiers to engage, no champions to defeat, only invisible fire arriving from beyond the horizon. Still, the ancient commanders refuse to surrender. If they can survive long enough, if they can close the distance, perhaps they can finally force the Americans into a battle they understand. But they are about to discover something even more terrifying. The artillery is only the beginning. By now, the outcome is no longer in doubt. The greatest army the ancient world could ever assemble is still fighting. But it is no longer fighting a battle it understands. For thousands of years, victory belonged to the army with better discipline, stronger formations, smarter generals, braver soldiers. But on this battlefield, none of those advantages matter anymore. The Roman legionaries never reach sword range. The Macedonian Phalanx never gets the chance to lower its spears against an enemy line. The cavalry never delivers the devastating charge that once decided the fate of empires. Every traditional tactic has become obsolete. Not because the ancient soldiers lack courage. In fact, their courage is extraordinary, even after witnessing weapons beyond their imagination. Many continue advancing, shield after shield, step after step, knowing that death could arrive at any moment, from an enemy they cannot even see. Few armies in history would have shown such determination. But courage alone has never guaranteed victory. As the hours pass, the battlefield changes completely. Ancient formations dissolve into scattered groups of survivors. Commanders lose contact with their men. Messengers never reach their destinations. Orders become meaningless before they can even be delivered. Meanwhile, the American command remains almost unchanged. Every movement is tracked, every target updated, every decision shared across the battlefield within seconds. One army is reacting. The other is controlling the battle itself. And that is the true difference between ancient warfare and modern warfare. Technology did not simply create more powerful weapons. It changed how wars are fought. Information became more valuable than numbers. Speed became more important than strength. Coordination replaced individual heroism. The greatest generals of antiquity, Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great, Hannibal, they were military geniuses. Given the technology of their own time, they were nearly unstoppable. But no amount of genius can overcome weapons that have not yet been invented. Eventually, the surviving ancient commanders would have only one realistic choice: retreat. Not because they lacked bravery, but because they finally understood an impossible truth. They were fighting an enemy from another age, an age where wars could be won before soldiers ever saw each other. So, how long could the greatest ancient army survive against the United States Army? Longer than many people might expect. Their discipline, leadership, and determination would allow them to endure far more punishment than almost any force in history. But survive is not the same as win, because this battle was never decided by swords or rifles. It was decided by something far less visible: information. Long before the first artillery shell struck, long before the first Roman shield shattered, the battle had already been won. Not on the battlefield, but through technology. History remembers the Roman legions, the Macedonian Phalanx, the Persian Immortals, as some of the greatest armies ever assembled, and they earned that reputation against the enemies of their own world. They were nearly unbeatable. But every great military force eventually reaches the same moment, the moment when history changes, and everything that once made them unstoppable becomes part of the past, because no army, no empire, and no civilization can defeat the future. If you enjoyed this battle simulation and want to see more historical matchups based on real military strategy and technology, don't forget to subscribe. The next impossible battle is already waiting.